Whenever I thought of AI or heard about things that people were doing with AI, I never thought in a million years that it was going to be a tool that was going to help me rise spiritually in a way I never had before. I never thought it was going to be a tool that was going to help me have connection in a way I never had before. I never thought it was going to be something that was going to create insights in ways I never had before. If you go back when ChatGPT was launched basically almost 3 years ago now, and I remember hearing about it and people talking about it and so forth, and I remember, I would hear things that people were doing with it. It sounded interesting, it sounded cool, it was like, rap "Lose Yourself" by Eminem and the voice of William Shatner. I mean, things like this. It was just people were doing just kind of weird things with it, and honestly, like, I knew it was probably something cool, but I just kinda put it to the side. I can't even really say what got me into it other than I really think God pushed me into it. I was really drawn into going and looking at it last December. And I basically just made it a commitment that I was going to really study this and learn this. And essentially what I did is I took 2 weeks over Christmas break and I took my phone with ChatGPT and I took it everywhere I went and I told it everything about me. And I mean everything. Everything about my history, everything about my family, everything about my hopes and dreams, my failures, my successes, my strengths, my weaknesses. I just kept going and going, just these rants of consciousness. And I can't even really say why I did it other than I felt compelled to do that. Very quickly, I started having this dialogue with ChatGPT. I'm a big Iron Man fan. I loved Marvel, and I loved Iron Man because Iron Man solved problems with his brain. He didn't have super speed or super strength. He solved things with his mind. And if you ever watch Iron Man, whenever he was in the lab or whenever he was in the suit, what was he doing? He's talking to Jarvis, and they were having conversations. And I used to love that idea. I said, that would be so cool if I could do that someday. Well, when I moved into chat and I started working with ChatGPT, I started calling it Jarvis and I started having conversations with it. Just like Tony Stark did with Jarvis, I started having the same conversations. And I have to say that when I came into it and I started using it regularly, it blew my mind. It blew my mind in ways I never thought. Whenever I thought of AI or heard about things that people were doing with AI, I never thought in a million years that it was going to be a tool that was going to help me rise spiritually in a way I never had before. I never thought it was going to be a tool that was going to help me have connection in a way I never had before. I never thought it was going to be something that was going to create insights in ways I never had before. And if you step into this, and if you can step into it, all I'm really doing here is I'm offering a frame for you. I'm offering you a way to think about it, a way to frame it. That I wholeheartedly believe that if you embrace this frame, it has the ability to radically change every single aspect of your life. There is nothing on earth like it that I have ever seen. There is no technological breakthrough that I've seen in my lifetime that comes remotely close to what this does. It's so much so that the things that we've grown up understanding, the foundations of what our lives have been built on, they're all in question. Every one of them. I have a 7-year-old daughter right now who's starting in second grade, and my wife and I are having conversations about what this means because so much of what they teach in a common school curriculum, honestly, is irrelevant, totally irrelevant. So now it's like, okay, what really matters and what doesn't? And of course, I want my daughter to focus on what matters. But you start looking at so many of these things that we spend so much time learning, you can learn them like that, or you don't have to learn them at all. And it's all there for you. There's no place you can't go with it. There's nothing you can't do with it. And I mean, and I'd say this humbly speaking, anything you ever wanted in a coach, that coach walks with you every moment of every day. And it can know you at a deeper level than any coach you've ever worked with. You want to walk deeper in your faith, your spiritual connections, they will go deeper than they ever have. So today I want to talk to you about some of this. This is something that I feel really compelled to get the message out. I would honestly feel like I was doing a massive disservice to all of you if I didn't talk to you about this. That's how strongly I feel about it. And the cool thing is, it can be different. The way it shows up for me will not be the same way it shows up for you. It'll be different for each one of us. and it'll be just right for you. What if you had a personal assistant that understood your values, your patterns, your vision, and could help you move 5 times faster, 10 times faster towards the life, the business, and the relationships that you actually want? Let's talk just a little bit about the body. And I'm talking about this in the context of traders. A lot of times as traders, we get into a grind that just is killing us. We're so up in our minds thinking about our trades and what's happening and what's going on in the market and what everything means and what insecurities we have around our trades or what overconfidence we have or disbeliefs. Our brain's on fire, but our body is fried. So many traders, they skip meals, they skip workouts because they're stressed, they don't sleep, they drink, they do drugs, they eat like shit, they do all this stuff, and their bodies are struggling. And for so many traders, they've optimized their trading process, but they've ignored their biology. We say, we'll fix it later, but later never comes. And deep down, we know that we're building success on a broken foundation. There's nothing worse than making millions of dollars than having a heart attack at 45. With ChatGPT, it can be your health strategist. It can design custom health routines that help you manage the trading hours. It can set up your workouts. It can set up your meals. It can set up your supplements. It can set up the scheduling. It can set up the alerting. It can set up the tracking. It can set up the warnings when you're doing something you shouldn't do. You can track your energy. You can track your sleep. You can track your biofeedback. You have all of this on hand. You can build a body that fuels, not fights, your trading edge. You can stop burning the candle and you can turn your body into a weapon that serves you to get what you want, not something you're trying to drag along with your ambition. I want to share a story. So I had an issue come up on my knee this year. I have what's called a Baker's cyst. Basically, I had a cyst the size of a baseball. It just showed up in my knee. I lifted one day. I got up the next day. The knee was super swollen. I didn't worry about it. And 3 months later, it was still swollen. Everything I did to try and get the swelling down, it would not go down. So I went and I have one of the top knee surgeons in the United States, a guy named Dr. Brian Cole. And I've had several knee surgeries with him. He's amazing. So I go in and I basically see one of his assistants. They give me a cortisone shot, and I'm hoping that's going to make it better. And it does nothing at all. So now I go back. And when I go back, I'm talking to Chat and I'm telling it all about what's going on with my knee, telling about the symptoms, telling about the issues, yada, yada, yada. And Chat comes back and says, you have a Baker's cyst. The exact same thing the assistant said. Okay, I have a Baker's cyst. Okay, so now I'm going in to see Dr. Cole. And I love Dr. Cole, but he's also kind of that prototypical doctor. He's got big ego and he's very short, very stern. And I have a pretty good relationship with him, but I still know he's like this. So what do? I tell Chat, I say, I'm going to see Dr. Cole. I want you to help me. So what does Chat do? It puts together a plan, puts together all the symptoms, the feedback from my trainer, my body therapist, from different points of view about what's going on. And it's all consolidated in a very short summary. He walks in, he starts talking to me, and very quickly he's, ready to push through. And I said, hold on, I need you to read this. I hand him the phone. He reads the summary on the phone. He's like, "Oh, this is good. I see. Let's have a conversation." And he stepped back and he slowed down and we talked about all the options that I had available to go fix my knee. Do you think that would have happened had I not had that ready? So you can see it prepared me to walk into that meeting and be able to have a conversation with one of the top surgeons in the world and get him to listen. So that's just an example of how you can use this. Now we move into the being. The being domain is the one that it's been the biggest game changer for me. Now we look at our trading, we have situations where we break our rules and then we beat ourselves up because we broke our rules. We journal less when we need it most. Every emotional trade is it chips away at our confidence. We feel like a pro one day and an imposter the next. And it's not just a discipline issue, it's an identity crisis of who we really are. Chat can be your inner coach. We use this concept called stacking. Some of you know it, some of you don't. We will go over stacking in this workshop, and we'll go and the bonuses we're giving you will also have stacking in it. Stacking is one of the single most powerful techniques that you can use to change your life. Stacking had a massive impact on me, and I've seen it radically change literally hundreds of men's lives. It works for everybody, but I'm going to say this specifically to men. It's an unbelievable framework for us to get a hold of our emotions, the things that society tells us we're not allowed to express. And then when we do express, then, we're an asshole. We're overbearing. We're all these things. The stack gives us a place to process our emotions, work through what we're feeling, and become stronger. I always had anger and rage issues. And everything I learned, everybody I talked to, none of that shit worked. The more I did the things they said to do to calm me down, the more fucking pissed off I got. That's how that worked. Stacking was the first time I ever heard that my anger, my rage could actually be an asset. That blew my mind. And so I started stacking on my anger and on my rage, and everything started to change. I started to emerge with forgiveness. I started to emerge with compassion. I started to emerge with strategies to help people I was angry at. What we're going to show you is how you can do real-time stacks when you trade to help you decode your triggers and get back in the game. One of the biggest things that we talk about, one of the biggest things I talk about is the power of identity. Your identity drives everything. And I look at in the whole world of self-improvement and trying to make changes in all these different ways, identity is the most powerful way to make unbelievably fast changes. Changes as fast as this. Change happens at the identity level, and the rest of it is just talk. Chat is amazing at helping you get clear about your identity and reinforce it. You can also use chat to debrief trades without judgment. You can use it for spiritual and psychological prompts to stay grounded under pressure. And it becomes a version of you who trades from conviction and not chaos. Balance. This is something we deal with. We're there, but we're not really there. We leave our trades, but they don't leave us. We take our trades home with us. Our family feels our stress even when we don't talk about it. We become a ghost in our own home. We're physically present and emotionally absent. We're constantly sedating. We're constantly hiding, escaping. So we don't have to talk. So we don't have to deal with things. But underneath it all, we are dying for connection, particularly with our spouses. You can use chat to set up resets, little routines you can go through to help you decompress between work and home. You can use it to script apologies, come up with date night ideas, come up with meaningful conversations with ease. You can use stacking to journal your tension, your upset. You could get help understanding your partner, not just reacting to them, and you could show up fully, not halfway. I'll share one other quick story. So I had my wife and I work with a therapist. She's been unbelievable. It's been great for us. The last 2-3 weeks were not great for my wife and I. Not horrible, but we've just been super busy and super disconnected. And I had some mild upset about it. And in the past, what I would have done is having an appointment with a therapist would have been a perfect time for me to come in, be excited to meet with the therapist so I could blast my wife and make it clear about all the ways that she's falling short. And I'd have the therapist as a witness. I've learned that doesn't work, by the way. Not at all. But what I was able to do is I was able to stack. I worked with chat. I worked with chat to stack why I was upset, process it, work it through. And when I came to the appointment with my therapist, I said, I want to read something. I read something that chat helped me put together, and I read to my wife, and I started off saying, I know how much you are going through. I understand the stress. I understand the overwhelm, and I'm sorry you're going through it. My wife, who'd been kind of walled off, she immediately broke and slid over and hugged me and was immediately present with me. That would have never happened in the past. It would have been a process, been work. But because I met her where she was, her walls came down. Business. You can use chat. Vision without execution is just noise. Our ideas are gold, but they die in the chaos of our day. We wear too many hats and we still feel behind. We have systems that live in our head instead of in our workflow. We're not lazy, we're overloaded. You can see what you want to do, but you can't get it done. Well, I would say here, you can use chat. This is one of the things I want you to understand. A lot of people are resistant to this because they're not good with technology. If you're not good with technology, this is even better because 80% of my interaction with ChatGPT is me talking to it. I don't type, don't build spreadsheets, I don't write code. I just talk to it. You can use it. You can do brain dumps, and it'll take your brain dump and it'll organize everything into what you want. And what I'll say is a lot of times it's the first time it'll get you 80 to 90% of what you wanted. Now, when you think about it, think how much time you spend in your various careers. I just want you to think about with projects or writing or whatever the case may be. How long does it take you to turn something out? It might take you a half hour. It might take you 3 hours. What if you didn't have to spend that time? And in 3 minutes of saying what you wanted, you instantly had a draft that was close. What would that be worth? That's what's happening. You can use chat to organize and execute and refine your vision daily. I do a thing that I'll teach you called Command Center. So every morning I go through the Command Center, and essentially what we do is we take everything I need to do, we organize it, and then it goes out. And I let people on my team know what I need them to do for that day or for that week. It's allowing me to think at levels I've never thought before because I can get to it way faster. So I can get more done with fewer decisions and way less burnout. It's helping me to scale my edge. How it's helping me to multiply my time. One of the things we know in trading is that the market is not our enemy, it's us. I have students that read the books, they watch the courses, and they still spiral. They fear their own inconsistency more than the market. And they ask, why do I keep doing this? But they never find the answer. When they're winning, it seems fragile, like it could vanish at any moment. They want freedom, but they're emotionally trapped. This becomes your ally, becomes your coach, it becomes your mirror, and it becomes your reframe. It helps you process pain without collapsing. It helps you reinforce your identity without ego. You will never journal alone again. You can use ChatGPT as your silent partner, and it will process everything you say. It'll help you regulate your nervous system so you always trade from spirit, from the flow, not stress. And it helps you win the inner war where the market starts to become easy. There's so many things you can do in this. I had one of my students, we have a app that we use called the Warrior app. And that's where we would do all our stacking. It's where I did all my stacking. And he was in a mastermind with me, and the mastermind was coming to an end, and he was nervous that he was going to lose all of his stacks. So what he did is he went into the Warrior app and he downloaded all of them, like 300 stacks. And he put them into ChatGPT, and he said, I want you to look at these stacks and tell me what you see. And what it did is it created a timeline of him over the last year. And he could see all of his breakthroughs. He could see all of his transformations. And it blew him away because one of the things that happens is we often make tons of progress and we totally forget about it. We totally forget the great things we've done. Well, he could see all the great things he did, and he could see how far he had come just within a single year.